Hey everyone, this is Andrew at Plainview Farm, and today we are hoping that the third time truly is the charm. This time I have the correct filter. We just need to once again take our cover off. And I have the correct filter here, and this time I went and I bought a Wix filter. Went to the local auto parts store and bought a Wix filter. So see, it just sits right in there like that. There's a hole down here that this sets in order to close everything up, and then the canister top goes back on, and then the big long bolt goes through here, and it has a brass washer at the top. I'm guessing that all the Teflon tape on it that was on there before, if you saw in the last video where we ran into all of our problems, that all that Teflon tape was there because it was leaking. The little rubber seal down here, I know you can't see it, but I think it's okay. But that, I mean, I mentioned before, we're gonna redo all this again later anyway. So I take the canister, put the filter down inside it, make sure it all fits like it's supposed to. Set the canister back here where it goes. And thread our gigantic bolt back down in there. The label is gone, or yeah, the label's mostly, well, it's been painted over, it looks like, actually. Once upon a time, somebody hosed this thing down with a bunch of paint. They did kind of a quick job. Yeah, look underneath there. There's some original paint right there. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, so the label actually is right here. But like I said, it's been painted over. I'm not all that concerned about it. I was just curious. That's when I was scraping on it there. Even though the label has been painted over, we're still going to point it back out where it's supposed to be. I'm going to tighten our canister back down. If this canister leaks up here around the bolt where this copper washer is, I may have to do some modifications here. These leak from time to time. Guys will over tighten these and it will deform the top of the canister, and so then naturally they'll leak. And so then what happens is, well, if it leaks, then you tighten it down even more and then it still leaks. And like I said, it deforms all of this up here. So like I said, we'll just have to see what it all looks like once I get everything back going and we start trying to chase down our leaks before we repair them all whenever I change the oil again. Probably in a couple months or so. Okay, so now that is on there. On these old M's, you've got your timing cover filler here, I guess is what you call it, I don't know. But that's where you put your oil in. You see, somebody's made a pretty interesting little gasket for that. There's the lid. Whatever works. Now everybody has an opinion as to what you should put in these old tractors. Just go look at some of the forums and stuff online. Well, all I have to say is you should definitely put oil in your tractor. All right, all joking aside, I'm using Shell Rotella T4 1540. This is the same thing that I use in the Coyote, which is a diesel. Like I said, everybody's got a different opinion as to what you should use. At the end of the day, you've just got to be convinced in your own mind as to what is the right thing for what you're doing. All right, that's one in. The book says 8 quarts. I've got both petcocks open. Be sure and tell me if the bottom one starts dripping. And that one's starting to drip. We'll close it off. And there goes the top one. We are now full of oil. Now we will remove our funnel and replace our homemade gasket and cover. So far, so good. All right, now for the air cleaner. Somebody put a radiator hose right here going into the carburetor. Ew. Yeah, there's hardly anything in there. So that's nice. So in order to clean this out, what I've done is I've just dumped a little bit of gas in the bottom of it and just kind of swirling it around. Now just wipe it out. Okay, so I think that's about as clean as I'm going to get that. There is a line right here, if you can see it, that says where the oil level is supposed to be in this. And I've actually just got some cheap store brand oil. It doesn't really matter what you use. Just so long as you've got something in there to catch the crud. And we're going to put it back up. Same situation. Old crusty label out. That way you know, hey, there's something you should know about this. I've really got to get an actual air tube for that. This is goofy. And I've already done it, but it's always a good idea whenever you change the oil on one of these to pull the cap off of your air cleaner and clean it up. The inside of it can get pretty gunky. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is get the grease gun and hit these grease fittings on this tractor. And there's several of them. Old tractors like this, everything is serviceable. So you've just gotta either get a book and find all of them or just go hunting. I've got good old Lucas red and tacky grease here. It's always been a good stuff. So just gonna load it into the gun, and it's a new tube, and go to work greasing this tractor. And drop that in the mud. That's exactly what you want to do. Drop it in there. Peel off the tab. Probably should start right up here on the water pump, actually. It's probably been a long time since this thing has been greased. And if it's been a long time since this thing has been greased, water pumps rarely get greased. So I'm guessing that it hasn't been greased in a long time. So we're gonna clean that zerk off, and we're gonna hit it, grease that water pump. And then hit the bottom one, it has a little cover on it. And this thing's taking a lot of grease. All right, I'm gonna put the cap back on there. And we're gonna work our way around the tractor. This thing is accepting a lot of grease. I have a feeling bearings and seals are gonna have to be replaced in the future. course, I don't know. Being the optimist, says that the fact that these grease zerks are accepting grease is probably a good thing. Oh, there it comes. Well, all right, we now have an oily, greasy tractor. So the next thing I'm gonna do is eat lunch, and then I'll take you on that ride I promised. Okay, one other thing that I did that I want to mention before we take off down the road, I did open up the drain plug, just cracked it on the rear end housing here, and I actually got fluid that came out. It wasn't water, you know, it was actually fluid. So that's encouraging. That's a good thing. This thing takes something like 13 gallons of oil in the rear end. So I don't want to spend 250 bucks right now on what, 80, 90 weight gear oil, you know, for the rear end. This is something I'll have to do at a later time. I checked everything out. Like I said, I didn't have a bunch of water coming out of the bottom of it or anything like that. I did actually get oil, and we are good. There is plenty of oil in there. So I'm gonna hook up the battery and we'll go for a ride. Okay, we're out of gear. And here we go. Raise the loader. If you recall from previous videos, this tractor does have an M&W 9-speed. We'll play around with it a little bit here too. All right, this is first gear. Second gear. Third gear. Fourth gear. We'll wait till we get on the road for fifth. So if I pull on this lever right here, right there, that gets us on the high side. And we are in first gear now. We're in probably the second third of the throttle. Come up into second. And again, we are on the high side. We're smoking a little bit there. Hopefully we're just burning out the crud. turn around right here. You know, when you're used to fenders, that can be a little bit unnerving at times if you sit there and watch it. We are pulling this hill on the high side of fourth gear. Pretty good steep hill. See it. Jump back into fifth. Drop her back down into second, go up the driveway. And we'll shut her down. Let the pressure off the loader. It took us a few tries, but we finally got the oil changed, got everything greased, and as always, I appreciate everybody watching. We'll see you next time. Somebody got a little carried away with the grease there.